Let's go ahead and draw some clouds using positive and negative space. So all the areas that are in the background are going to be darker than the areas in the foreground. So the whitest areas are the clouds. Make sure you slant your pencil and you're going to draw slanted or straight onto the paper without really draw straight onto the paper. For hard lines or really straight lines is where you have the point down onto the paper. We're not going to have our points straight down onto the paper. We want to make sure the pencil is slanted and laying down on the paper to create that smooth background that we're trying to create here and get the clouds right on inside and get the sky in here. And then we're going to create the clouds just using the negative space, the background space here. This is how we're going to work on creating our clouds. And this is how we're really even going to create some depth into the background, where the depth is created because the darker areas look like they're behind the clouds. So you can really get a smooth background, smoothing in the background here. You can use some paper. Really smooth out your graphite. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go inside the clouds and put a little bit of color, like when we were doing the water droplets. A little bit of color on the inside of the clouds as well. Because the clouds, even though they're white, they still do have variations of gray on the inside of them. Variations of different shades of value. So we can go ahead and add in some softer grays on the inside of the clouds. So really white at the edges. And the inside over here should be a little bit lighter gray. And then here's going to be a little bit of darker gray as well. And then the edge of the cloud has a really pure white. Right over here is a circle cloud. There's a little gray in the inside right here. One of the 7 elements of art is value. So we want to make sure that our values are expressed here with a number of different grays. And your edges of your clouds can not be perfect, but have like almost a inorganic shape to them. Well, they're not super perfect, but they're kind of like not so perfect on the edges. Kind of rounded, a little bit of jagged. Kind of weirdly positioned. Now this cloud here at the bottom, I'm going to fix this one here. I'm going to go fix this with my eraser here. Those are the beginnings there. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna get the bottom cloud in right here, and then you can have your whole picture done with the atmosphere and the value showing with the bottom of the cloud right here. So make sure you get some darker areas in here. And then we're going to slowly shade in on the inner parts of the cloud, and then erase on the edges right over here. And then we're gonna get some really indented areas that show depth on the inside of the cloud right here, so that we can really have the depth and different atmosphere inside the clouds. Remember, I'm still slanting my pencil to put depth inside of the background here with the atmosphere. And then we really want to make sure that we have our white edges right over here at the tips of the clouds, and then with some soft grays on the inside. So remember, you can have a range of gray with a graphite pencil. You can have really, really dark grays to medium tone grays to your lighter grays. So since this is a blue background, we could go a little bit darker on the inside of the blue background, and then we could have a lot of different atmosphere perspective and depth inside of the image. So I'm gonna go a little bit darker right on in here to really make it like this is the background. And then that'll allow me to have some lighter grays on the insides of the clouds. So this gets a little bit darker, almost like there's a storm going on in the image, even though it's not a storm. But the darker the background, which is like a solid blue time day outside, like not a solid blue time, but a nice solid blue day outside, really can allow us to have our lights along with the insides of the clouds. Some cloud drawings or pictures will really emphasize the edges of the clouds with more of a arcing line, a lot of curvy lines at the edges that do this, to really pronounce how the clouds are just gas and filled with different molecules on the inside. But I didn't want to come in with a lot of curvy lines, wavy lines. I really wanted it to be that our value is what defined the edges of the clouds. The darker areas are the edges of the clouds, and the lighter areas are the insides of the clouds. And then right over here at the bottom, we'll just have our solid cloud right here. This is a solid cloud. Here's a cloud, here's a cloud, and there is also another cloud right over here. I'm going to shade this in as well right here. That's how you can have your clouds really showing you the different valued perspectives to really get depth. So the darker areas are the background, and these lighter areas are the inside of the cloud. Remember to erase the edges right over here. The tips of the edges should really have a white, and then the insides of the clouds are defined with a darker inner area. There's a lot of movement inside of clouds, and that's going to be defined by your value on the inside of the cloud. This is really like a coloring exercise, a controlled coloring exercise, where you're working with darks and lights. You're not trying to put in definitive lines of demarcation and delineation of this is a space, this is not a space. What we're doing is we're valuing with lights and darks, showing the value of space by marking off areas that are lighter than, or not marking them out with, by erasing. Erasing says, you know, we're not going to mark with a hard line, but we're going to differentiate between where the darker area meets the lighter areas. So if you zoom in, you can really see, okay, this is a whiter line right around the edge, and then it goes into the grayer area. But as we begin to zoom out, and then you really get to see the perspective of the whole piece, you have a different idea, or like a bird's eye view of what is going on in the piece. So if I back out all the way here and look at this, it's a different perspective of the clouds in the sky. So make sure you have your values that are really marked off by lights and darks. And I can see here, this cloud should have been up higher right over here. So I'm going to erase this right in here. And I'm going to bring this white area all the way up here. And I don't like the harder lines. I don't like the lines that are so poignant and so defined. I really want this eraser or the lighter areas to bring about the light, contrasting against the shaded in background. That's my goal. That this gray does not touch the solid color of the page. That was the original color of the page. So if I have a gray and then I want to say I want to mark off where a cloud is, like right here, I just come in with my eraser and erase it. And then right over here, I don't want this particular line right here at the bottom. I want there to be cloud. I'm going to erase it. So what defines the base of the cloud, or the base of this particular cloud specifically right here, not all the clouds, but what defines it is where the sky meets the cloud. Kind of like a horizon line. A horizon line is where the land meets the sky. And so I want to mark off my space the same way, with lights and darks. Shaded in areas and unshaded in areas. Value. Darker values versus lighter values. Or tones or shades. Really shading. These are deeper areas inside of the cloud where like maybe a pocket of rain is sitting. If you want to start off with a page that's completely shaded in and then erase in your clouds, that may work as well. Some people will use a white crayon or a white marker to really begin to define where the light is and where the darker tones are. So this is how you draw clouds. Later we'll explore another way of spending time to bring in our the smoother you allow your surfaces to be, the more it'll look like it's outside. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the sky is a smooth blue. It does not have ridges in it, and the only really definitive line is when lightning strikes. And lightning comes in with this particular type of line that is undeniably lightning. And it shows a jagged line in the sky, a diagonally jagged line. That's how you know lightning is even there. It's just a stark contrast to the soft blue background. So that's really what you're going for with these clouds as well. They're so smooth. They're just soft like cotton candy. So make sure you're taking time to get your cotton candy-esque clouds up into the sky. There you go.